The idea or the interest that I have is not so much you're interesting in the terms of what caused this experience of what you call transformation. It may only be a paradigm shift. You may have only shifted in the same consciousness, had a huge shift, which means that if that's the case, then at some point you could shift back, and all of a sudden you could be pissed off at Donna again, or you see, or it could be a transformation from which there is no return. It's like you're going to hell and that's it, or you're going to heaven and that's it. There isn't any untransformation. What I was saying about that is, so what you have to say about it is important, but what people who have not experienced something like that hears when we talk about it is important.
I don't know what to hear.
The reason it's important is because some part of what you did caused you to have whatever this is that you call transformation. Now, would you have had that without the conversation?
Would I have had
that experience of what you call transformation?
Without the conversations with you?
Or, well, without the conversation with me or without me or whatever. Probably not without me, because this is the only place you've ever encountered it.
Probably not. In fact,
probably not is the truth.
But needed to be introduced to it in order for.
And then there's a catalyst or a spark, and there's all of that. It would be interesting if you knew which part of the conversation was for you. But it's always individual to the person. So in your particular case, you came here and you bought a lot of different, let's call it paraphernalia, a lot of different things that was needed or what not needed or whatever. You came here and you did all of those things, so you could say you bought your transformation. So then you could say to people, okay, all you got to do to be is go buy Edward something at his house, and bam, there it is. But that's not it. It worked for you, didn't it?
Yes.
But it worked for you because that is I don't really care about this thing called path, but that's the catalyst that you used, because that's the place of purity where you came from.
Well, to say that there was a majority of the time I wasn't sure that it was impossible. There was sort of a.
And the interesting thing about what you were doing to me was I could see what it was. And I could see that was what you needed to do to come to this place of transformation.
I didn't see it at all.
Now, whether or not it happened, I didn't know. But I knew what you were doing was the exact things that you needed to do in order for that to happen, if it was going to happen. Well, and if it did happen.
Since we're recording this, we could talk about what exactly, from way back, what happened was I was an antagonist of transformation. And basically, I was antagonizing you because you were on Pal Talk to be, confronted, and I was looking for someone to confront. And so I brought all my drug experiences to the room, the Pal Talk room, and I began to have arguments, or we call mental sword fights, where no matter what you said, it was going to be wrong. And
for you.
So for me, and as far as I was concerned, everyone else, because there really wasn't anything there to be right or wrong about as far as I was concerned. You'll hear lots of people talk about there's no right, there's no wrong, so then anything goes. And so what your philosophy, as I took it, was just as wrong as everyone else's. So I was going to show that it was just as wrong as everyone else's. And this went on for years. Years I would try to turn people away from what you were saying. So then years later, when I started to get something out of what you were saying, when we were talking about the giving of the money to Edward, it was that I had seen that I had spent years tearing down and trying to disrupt.
Supposedly caused a lot of consternation and a lot of
what Edward was doing. So there was a way I was trying to. When I saw it, there was I guess so you could say guilt about what had happened, and so I went about trying to make amends for what I had done, and that was Edward was trying to put out videos for transformation. So I'm like, well, to make up for that, the trying to limit him, now I'll try to get him out there, and so I'll buy this video equipment or whatever.
So you did whatever, and you notice each time I said, no, look, I'll buy that.
Right.
And then you would say, and there wasn't any argument on my part. I said, no, look, if that's what I need, I'll buy it. And you would say, no, this is what I care to do. So I could hear in your voice that that's what you cared to do.
Yes.
That it wasn't like you were making up for anything necessarily. But I can tell you what it actually was. you saw at some time that this fellow named Edward Jones was coming onto that computer and giving of his time freely to see if transformation could actually happen. You could say in a silly way that he was trying to help everybody in the world transform their lives, and doing it free, doing it with an open mind, an open heart, and just reaching out and hugging everybody. And you came along with a sword and tried to cut his neck off, dick off, and legs off while he was doing it.
Yeah.
And that was the thank you gave this guy who was actually doing what he said he was doing. Then suddenly you look and you say, that son of a bitch is actually doing what he said he's going to do, or was doing. Now I'm going to assist him or support him or help him in that endeavor. And it turns out I needed the book, which is what's that, backup thing, and a video maker and some software, those things that you bought. The reason I stepped out of the way and we'll call it let you buy them, is because of the way in which you put it forward. That you saw that you were detrimental to the action of transformation, not necessarily me in particular, but the action of transformation you were detrimental to, so you cared to be supportive of it at the same level that you were detrimental to.
Yes.
Trouble is, you fought for a lot longer than you, so let's see how much more can now.